Registered Ranching Podcast. That's right, you're tuning in and you're about to listen to a lost podcast. This podcast was actually taken over a year ago, and that's why my buddy Willie Wardle is in this podcast. It was lost. We thought it was gone, but Michael Stevens got it back. Shout out Michael Stevens for getting it back for us to be able to post. It's been a long time waiting, so enjoy, as did I when I got to listen back to it. Y'all stay classy and ranch on. All right. Welcome, Jake Cowan. Jake. Who says that? Redo. Jack. Y'all's names are too close.
They are.
Gosh. People say Lanham XX. Redo the clap. Holy cow. No, we can leave that in. Jack Cowan. Welcome to the Registered Ranching Podcast. Pleasure to have you, man.
I'm really glad to be here. Great to get to spend some time with you fellas.
Gosh, what a great start. Say the wrong name.
I would just like to formally apologize for my counterpart's
Holy
actions.
cow. How
I've had that my entire life. So
I know, and that makes it even worse for me because I've had it my whole life. Golly. No, thanks for joining the pod. Friend, dad, rancher, partner. You're a lot of things. You wear a lot of hats.
I try to be adaptive and do what we need to do.
Well, tell us a little bit about Jack Cowan. What do we need to know before we get started here? What do the listeners need to know about you? I mean, you do some ranching in North Texas. You didn't grow up here, but you have your hands in a lot of the cattle industry. So, yeah, tell us about Jack.
Sure. So, yeah, I grew up in Florida on a family ranch. Still have family that ranches back there, but now my part of the family is ranching kind of northwest of you, Tucker. And married. My lovely wife, Carrie, and I met at the University of Florida. We've been married for coming up on 14 years now.
Dang.
And we've got 2 kids. My son's about to turn 11. My daughter's 8. So really, obviously, big parts of our lives.
Yeah.
The other really big part of our life is working on a family ranch together with the rest of the family, which is just a real blessing for us. But it's a multi-generational operation and really pretty diverse. So we have cow-calf part of our business. The biggest part of our business, though, is the stocker business. So we buy cattle from all around, really, and in multiple weight classes, and then we grow those cattle until they're ready to go to a feed yard, and then we retain ownership on most everything we run in feed yards in the Panhandle of Texas and Southwest Kansas. But at home on the ranch, where we're trying to put weight on cattle efficiently, we grow a lot of winter wheat, and in our part of the country, we can graze cattle on that wheat when weather permits, starting towards the end of the year, say late November, all the way through May or even June, depending on how the weather is each year, which is normally a really efficient way to grow cattle without having to feed them. And in our system, you can even, if we pull cattle off of the wheat or some of the wheat fields, by March, we can still harvest grain off of those fields, turn it into a really efficient production system.
That stocker, I remember after going to TCU is when I really learned more about the stocker program and I never understood how much risk and how much of a business mind stocker operators had to have. Not that other parts of the industry don't, because the feeders do too.
Definitely.
But relative, and people may think this is an unpopular opinion, but relatively, I think the stocker and the feed yard guy know way more about their costs and risks than the cow-calf guy does.
That's right. I agree. I mean, there's a lot of variation within the industry and in this particular segment, but I feel like the closer you get to the endpoint, the more data-driven everyone is. I mean, feedlots are especially data-driven because they're such high volume and low margin operations that, making small adjustments and tracking very small things can turn into a lot of money for them by the end of the year or make the difference between profitability or losing money. Mm-hmm. And stocker operations, I think, are kind of like we're a transition between cow-calf places. That a lot of times they're a transition on that spectrum also, where we're, in a lot of cases, pretty darn focused on our costs, but we don't necessarily have quite as much control over certain things as feedlot operations, where feedlot you have a lot of control over things because you're
when
you
they
are
eat,
giving them their
what they
feed,
eat.
Every single day. You can adjust that ration easily, whereas when the cattle are on a pasture, you can adjust supplementation, but you can't adjust how much grass is in the field short of planting new grass or,
Sure.
that kind of,
Yeah.
those kind of options, brush control or what have you, but all pretty macro level adjustments, whereas in a feed yard, you can make really micro level adjustments.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So you grew up in Florida. Whole family was in Florida.
Yes,
I
sir.
think you got a pretty interesting story of how, like you have this family ranch in Florida, 30,000 foot view. You may not agree with this, but from what I see, you have this family ranch in Florida. One of your family members comes here, and all of a sudden you sell the ranch in Florida, and a lot of the family moves to Texas and buys a ranch, and you've had it for how long now? For
Coming up on 20 years.
yeah, that's right. Holy cow!
So it's been quite a while. So, yeah, it was an interesting process. Growing up, especially where we were, there's a lot of development pressure in that area of Florida. So, the idea that we could expand an operation down there was really hard to see because if you wanted to try to buy a place, you're talking about paying development values to be able to buy land, which some of that has changed as conservation easements down there have become much more common. And so now land trades a little differently, almost in a tiered system where land that already has a conservation easement, now you could buy it a little less because you're not fighting for development rights. But so as we were growing older, my generation, which was the third generation of the ranch, around the time my older brother was going to college and then I went to college, we just, we were looking at whether or not we were going to be able to come back to grow it enough to support us or have to do something else. And between my grandparents and between my mom's generation of the family, somebody thought of maybe we should look at something out in Texas, with the idea that there's options of either selling the family ranch or doing a conservation easement on the family ranch, those types of things. So we ended up finding a place in Texas, Benjamin, Texas, where we are now, that was really appealing to us. We really liked the idea of being in the stocker business. Grew up cow-calf, which is, the majority of what there is in Florida.
Yep.
But we really like the idea of we really like the idea of stocker business, and some options that came along with that. So after we had identified that, then we started looking at what our options were for the family ranch back in Florida, and ended up doing a conservation easement and selling some of the land. But one good thing that came out of it, so like my cousin that still lives there, he still operates on part of the family ranch.
Nice. I didn't know that part.
He's got his own place now that he gets to run, and we still do a little business together. He does some things for us down there. So it's great to have some continuity of that legacy of, 90 years of doing that down there. Yeah. But we've been able to buy the place out here, and now, like we said, almost 20 years of being here in Texas, and really in an area where there are some opportunities for growth in ranching. Mm-hmm. So it's been pretty amazing to see once we got out here what opportunities there were to grow the business once we got established, and then once we were able to kind of learn about the differences out here versus back home.
Sure. And it's cool because we didn't plan this, but if you're listening or watching, we are still at BIF in Amarillo, and we stacked up some Florida podcasts for you here, some Floridians, and so some natives, and so some native Floridians, that is. So what is we talked to Hunter about some differences in culture from Florida to Texas. And I feel like maybe your thoughts are different, or maybe they're the same because you've ranched in both of them.
Sure.
And for the podcast, where was it that your ranch was in Florida?
We were southeast of Okeechobee around Indiantown, Florida. So quite a ways away from where Hunter is.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good 6, 7,
Yeah.
8-hour drive.
That's right. So, but yeah, so South Florida and, a tropical climate basically.
Yep.
Nearly 60 inches of rainfall a year. We worried a lot more about having too much water on the ranch than we ever worried about having enough water. When my great-grandfather had first started the ranch, it was, he had some surveying work done, and across 6 miles, there was 6 foot of fall across the whole ranch. I mean, it is remarkably flat.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of work to drain it, which was beneficial, but there's only so much drainage you can do there when there's not really many places to go. So we could, down there, we would worry about times when we were going to be too wet, and when it was dry, we had, opportunities to irrigate a little bit. We had artesian wells there that had been drilled back in the 40s and 50s that would still flow. So we could put some water in pastures and also a really high water table. So, if you needed cow drinking water, you could go dig a pond and it would be full of water after you dug it. I mean, there was no worrying about that kind of thing, which is one of the big differences to where we are in Texas, where there's really limited groundwater resource. I mean, in a lot of places in our area, there's really no groundwater resource. And if there is groundwater, it's not very desirable.
Pretty salty. For us, it's salty.
Right. Salty and jippy. So even if you do get some, it needs to be the only thing around to drink for the cattle to drink it.
Yeah.
And it was really surprising, even so we have frontage on the Brazos River, and even that, the water in the river sometimes is too salty to use as cattle drinking water, which was, I had never really considered that as a possibility before coming out here, that was,
as a salty river.
Right. Something that's a river that is too salty to drink out of just never would have crossed my mind. But I also never had worried about having enough water for cattle to drink. But as you know, there's plenty of places where we are, they run out of water before they run out of grass.
You dang right.
Because you can haul feed to cattle, but you can't. I mean, you can haul water, but that gets old real fast.
Costs a lot of money too.
Yes.
Jeez. So as far as culture goes, I tend to find a lot of similarities between South Florida ranchers and West Texas ranchers.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you find similarities or?
I definitely think there are. I think there's a lot of pretty decent size operations in both places. I think that helps to influence that culture, because between guys that actually work on those outfits and then, having enough of those outfits around and stuff, it can keep a pretty good day worker population supported, where you can get extra help if you need it, and guys that are pretty savvy, which is helpful. And just a pretty good culture of professional cattlemen, if that makes sense, of guys that do this for a living as opposed to doing it on the side. So they're willing to support the Cattlemen's Association and willing to support the Extension Service and research and the Beef Council and all that kind of stuff to try to improve us as an industry and make strides to where we can do things better and more efficiently.
Yeah.
And I think in both places you find the culture in general that values agriculture and ranching specifically. A lot, these days there's ranch rodeos in South Florida and things like that there are out here also, where that attracts a lot of people to come to them, and people are interested in seeing that lifestyle in person, and some pretty darn good ranch teams that do it.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. How old were you whenever your family made that transition?
I was 21. Yeah, I was in college. So, and then my older brother, we were both in college at the same time. My older brother, Jake, I can still remember it like it's yesterday. He graduates from University of Florida, and the next morning we get up, have his truck loaded, and drive out to the ranch in Texas. And that's when he moved there and has been there ever since.
I'll be dang. Oh, dang. Which had either of y'all been, to Texas? Have either of y'all spent time in Texas before the family thought of moving here?
So we had both interned at a place called R.A. Brown Ranch.
I've never heard of that place. So, but yeah, with that, what was that? Was the internship the first time that
was the first time either of us had spent extended time in Texas for sure.
Yeah.
Other than just, maybe a trip or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely the most time we had spent out west, coming for.
Which you were
5.
Was it 5?
05. Jake was 04.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think Jake spent 5 or 6 months.
Uh-huh.
He did summer and fall, and then I did the summer after that.
I'll be dang. I was just a pup.
You were. You were. I umpired your Little League Baseball that summer.
Yeah, you did.
It was really fun because there were kids from the ranch on every team, so you had the
Yeah, there
opportunity of making everyone mad.
Isn't that the truth?
And the sheriff coached one of the teams, so
Oh yeah,
also didn't want to get crossways with him.
had to be on his good side.
That's right. That's right.
That's funny.
It's really, really great experience for both of us, and a lot of memories from that time. I was just talking to somebody a few weeks back, actually, that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I was talking to him about George Self
Oh yeah,
and my memories of getting to spend time with him, and just the things you pick up just going with him for a day or two or whatever. Really, really impactful. And
was he working full time then, or was he 3 days a week then?
I think he was either 3 or 4 days a week.
Okay,
at
but
that
he was
point.
working the Brown Ranch.
He was
division. Yeah.
Yep. So that was where. Usually, if I went with him, that was where we went.
That's Todd's now.
Yep.
The Brown Ranch there south of town.
Getting close to my house.
Yeah, real close to your house. He lives right now. He's living at a house. Just north of. I guess it was after if you remember the Y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was just after the Y.
Okay.
Is the house he's living at now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was George is a lot like Buzzy, to where both, super wise cowboys that are both pretty quiet. Mm-hmm. George was never very loud that I remember.
No, yeah, you're right.
And even whenever he would get on to me as a kid, it was never very loud.
That's right.
Which I appreciate.
Definitely. Yeah, he was a great role model type.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if it was Jake or my dad that said just a couple months ago we had done something, and they said, remember what Mr. George said. It wasn't roping cattle that makes them wild, it's missing them.
Ah. That's a good George Self.
Did he live in that White House at HQ?
Get in there. I can't hear you.
Did he live at that White House in HQ?
Where Grace lives now?
Yeah.
On top of the hill. Yep. That's his. Still there. Still there. Do you live in the bunkhouse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one behind your house, yeah.
Right.
Or
still there.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah.
Redone a little bit.
I bet I could see that.
As it should. Should. Yeah. Did your air conditioner ever get taken away?
No, we were. So it was Travis Moore and I there, and I think we were remarkably well-behaved interns. We never got our air conditioner taken away. We were never forced to shave in a gas station bathroom.
Nice.
I'm proud to have made it through without that.
Yeah.
I think we even got our clean bunkhouse bonus every month we were there.
Right.
Which is, that's still proud
That's
of
saying
that
something,
accomplishment.
yeah.
That's right.
I don't know if we give that anymore.
I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Man, how cool is that, though? You came and interned, which didn't have anything to do with me. I just happened to be a fifth grader at the time playing Little League Baseball. But, and then y'all buy a place that's, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
An hour.
Yep.
An hour to the northwest of us, and whole family came.
Yeah.
I say whole family.
Yeah, my folks live in Benjamin now. My brother and his family live there. Yeah, so we're here. Still have my grandmother and 3 aunts that still live down in Florida.
Okay.
And my wife's family's still down there, so I still make it down there to see everybody.
Yep.
And lots of friends, of course, from school and
Sure.
everything.
What'd you go to school for at Florida?
I did ag engineering.
Ag engineering. See, I knew it wasn't. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't like ag ed or ag com or animal science. But ag engineering. Were you planning on ranching with that degree?
So I always thought I really struggled of what to major in there for the first couple of years. And I always thought, well, by the time I was well into it, I thought, well, I can go and after I graduate, work long enough for an engineer to be able to get my license and then go back to the ranch, basically. And I ended up doing a master's before I left, and I did, during my master's, I focused a lot more on the animal science and agronomy side.
Okay.
Which I really enjoyed, and so really kind of managed to pick up a lot of those classes that I would have missed from animal science in my undergrad originally.
Mm-hmm. I'll be dang. I didn't know you got a master's. You're all smart and stuff. Golly.
I think it was a lot easier to do that stuff back then, Tucker.
You think? That's what it is. It's just harder now. Well, we're going to move to one of my favorite segments of the podcast. It's called the Ag Gear Hot Seat. And because you're not wearing ag gear, the seat may get hot with all the questions that we're going to be throwing at you. But if you were wearing an ag gear shirt, it'd keep you cool because these shirts keep you cooler than any other shirt. And that's why I wear ag gear. And use code Tucker Brown and save 15% at ag gear on their store online. You ever worn ag gear before?
I don't think I have.
I'll be dang.
I'm going to have to start.
You have to check it
that out.
You have to check it out.
Code Tucker Brown.
That's right. Plug. All right, we'll start off. What is better, being the oldest or being the youngest in the family?
Oh, that's tough. I would always tell my brother that being the oldest is better.
Yeah.
That's maybe part of how he got to be the favorite.
Well, I don't know what that's like. I feel like I always thought it was the youngest that was the favorite.
Yeah, no, it's tough to say. But my brother, I really feel lucky. We have such a good relationship, work together and enjoy working together that.
Sure. What's your
seems to fit for us.
What do you and your brother mesh or like work together best on?
Oh man. I hadn't thought about that. We have pretty generally complementary skills where we're both good at different things. Yeah. So it seems to work pretty well in terms of running the company, especially with my dad also very involved. That the three of us just really work together well and can communicate and come together to make decisions and things like that. But it's always fun to work together when we're working cattle. We have similar styles and preferences, I guess I would say, in terms of cattle handling, in terms of wanting to be quiet and easy on the cattle and not trying to rush them or ram them through or anything like that, to try to keep a low stress environment. I mean, because at the end of the day, high levels of stress or anything like that can lead to negative performance. We don't want that. We don't want morbidity or anything down the road as related to that. And we'd rather just take our time and handle them right and not have to worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, you make a good point, especially when working with stocker cattle. Because, you're buying, do you buy many high-risk cattle?
We buy a lot of high-risk cattle. Yeah. That's a big part of our business. When you think of kind of maybe your traditional high-end cattle that's not high-risk, a lot of those cattle they're going to get weaned big and they're going to go straight into a feed yard. Mm-hmm. So the high end of those are going to a lot of them will skip the stocker segment completely. So we fill out the business with high risk cattle, and that's really what we would say we specialize in, is being able to take care of those high-risk cattle, get them through our system of weaning, and then grazing them as long as there's forage available somewhere, and then on to the feed yard while minimizing any losses and making sure they're taken care of right.
If somebody didn't know the description of what high-risk cattle mean, how would you describe it?
Sure. So that I would say it's cattle that are marketed one way or another, but the most common way would be that the cow-calf operation takes them to the sale barn. Mm-hmm. So they get their cows up, they pull all the calves off of them and haul them all to the sale barn. And the highest risk of those are the ones that, they've not been touched until they were loaded into the trailer to go to the sale barn. So they've never been vaccinated for anything. The bulls have never been castrated or anything like that. So they have a completely naive immune system. They're, the only thing they've been exposed to is whatever they were exposed to at the home ranch. Nothing from a vaccine or anything else like that. And then hauled somewhere where they get intermixed with other cattle, exposed to other germs and pathogens and things that might make them sick.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to fight, is making sure that the combination of the stress of being weaned, taken off of the mama cow, combined with exposure to new bugs or bacteria or disease or anything like that, and then the stress of being run through a sale barn potentially, and then waiting for the sale, potentially waiting after the sale to get picked up, to get on a truck, to go to our place eventually. So they might go a while with only hay and water, no feed, until they get to us where we can fill them back up. All those kind of things can contribute to the stress, contribute to the morbidity. So as soon as we get them to us, we want to rest them, get their bellies back full. Once we feel like they're, depending on where they've come from, how long they've been on the truck, what their background was, we want to give them an initial processing at our place where we get them vaccinated and get them an ear tag and get them set into our lotting system so that we can keep track of where they came from, what they are, and get them to somewhere where we can get them fed and filled back up and in some cases learn to eat feed, because some of them have never eaten feed before.
Got to teach them.
They drank milk on their mama and maybe ate some grass and have never been exposed to feed. So that can be another challenge, to get them used to eating feed and get that rumen adjusted to eating feed as well.
Yeah. And so you're in all these segments. I mean, cow, calf, stalker, feeder, and then it's not like you own the packer, but you're going to the grid.
That's right.
Would that be right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Of those kind of 3.5 segments, which one do you enjoy most?
Man, I really enjoy all of them. There's definitely, my dad would say that Jake and I are definitely sentimental about the cow-calf segment.
Oh, yeah?
Because his favorite is really stalker and feed yard segment. Huh. But, I mean, I just have such great memories growing up with that. Yeah. And, there's a real sense of accomplishment of getting to the place where we're really happy with the quality of our home cow herd. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, that part of the business really it gets a bit of the back burner to the other parts of the business. I really like the stalker business because it's an opportunity to make things really efficient. Mm-hmm. So it's an opportunity to take abundant forage somewhere that is really not good for many things, many uses, and put it to really valuable use of growing cattle in a really healthy way. So whether that's, like I talked about earlier, getting cattle turned out on wheat in winter, and even still being able to harvest grain off of that wheat in some cases, but even if you graze out the wheat, that's still a great use of wheat and really economical most years. Yeah. And in the summer, especially summers like we're having in Texas this year where there's abundant rain, there's a lot of summer grass that is really in excess of what our Texas cow herd could graze. So great opportunity to be turning out stalkers on summer grass and get that gain through the summer and have the cattle be bigger and a little more mature, headed into the feed yard at the end of at the end of grazing.
Oh, be dang. Well, welcome. You're welcome out of the Ag Gear hot seat. You did good.
Thank you.
You did good. Go to Ag Gear store online. Use discount code Tucker Brown. Get you some Ag Gear clothing.
You can lower the MSRP.
Lower it down. I mean, moving from having an abundance of water to worrying about drought. I mean, what, I don't even know the pros and cons. You know, what does that look like?
Right. So the drinking water being the biggest concern for us is making sure that we're going to have cattle drinking water. And we're really fortunate in one way. So we don't, like I said, on our ranch in Benjamin, we don't have much in the way of groundwater resource. But previous owner of the ranch did run quite a lot of water line throughout the ranch, and put in water troughs. And on the north end of the ranch, we're connected into Benjamin's municipal water supply, and on the south end of the ranch, we're connected into another rural water supply. So we can get drinking water for the cattle throughout the ranch, even if it's so dry that our earthen tanks are dry or getting dry, that we can still get them water in the troughs, which is really a blessing. It's also a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. All that water line.
Yes. So we check our water meter every day.
Wow.
To see how much water we're using, and then when the guy goes and checks it, he looks at how much water we've used for 24 hours, and then he times it to see what our water use is right then. How many gallons per minute are we using right then? And so we know based on that number if we have a water leak somewhere, and then if we do,
where do you find?
We got to go find it.
Yeah, where's it at?
So that turns into the kind of emergency of the day of finding a water leak. But it's city water, so it's expensive. It's not something you want to. We don't want to waste resources anyway, but we certainly don't want to waste expensive resources.
Resources and money.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's that part's a challenge, but it's also a blessing. There have been times where we would have had to really destock further than what we have had to because we had that water available. So that's been really fortunate. On the farming side of our business, that's also a lot different than what we ever did in Florida.
Oh yeah.
We really didn't do a whole lot of cultivation in Florida the way of like traditional row crop farming out here. We would we plant some ryegrass in the winter, and occasionally plant something else, or plant improved grasses in the pastures, that type of thing. And then maybe a farmer would come and want to grow something on one pasture or something like that. But it was, and that would be a specialty type crop. So maybe they want to grow watermelons if watermelons haven't been grown there before, or peas or beans or something like that. Whereas coming to our ranch now, we farm a lot of wheat. Yeah. It's pretty extensive cultivation. It's a lot of work. It's a big part of the business. It takes a lot of man hours to get it done for us. But we want to have the availability of that grazing through the winter, to be able to turn out a lot of cattle, and we want to utilize that cultivated ground that we have. And in our area, wheat is really the best option.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a little bit of cotton, but dryland cotton where we are is really pretty tough. If we moved south and east, maybe, the south and east part of the county guys can do some of that, but it's pretty dry where we are. It'd be pretty tough. So we grow wheat through the winter, and then on some of our fields we'll grow a summer crop of hay grazer or millet or something like that to try to get some additional forage or hay, or to cut silage.
Okay, I was going to ask I didn't know if you cut silage on any. Do you cut silage on any of your wheat?
We do. Okay. Wheat silage, and then we do a summer silage of hay grazer or sorghum. Or in the past, we've been able to get a little bit of corn silage bought, but we're not real close to anybody growing corn, so the freight and the combination of the basis on corn price, a lot of our corn farmers that would be as close to us as anybody get. A lot of them are wanting to take it all the way to grain and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we do cut silage for using in our feed ration.
Mm-hmm. You have any trouble with development in Benjamin? I couldn't even finish the sentence. We don't either.
there are some wind turbines. There've been wind turbines have come through, and there's still talk about some solar panels going in around, but
Those solar panels take up a lot.
Yeah, and it's hard to use that land anymore.
I hear they don't. I mean, do they?
No,
in cases?
it's pretty limited use after that.
Wow.
I heard of some guys taking goats around to graze what grass is left in a solar farm, which is kind of half weed control and half getting to use their goats. But I think it's not much use to it after they put the panels on it.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, it's pretty. We seem to be pretty stable where we are.
Yeah. Maybe something will change, but I don't think Throckmorton nor Benjamin has to worry about development being a big issue anytime soon.
That's right.
Which can be a blessing.
That's right.
Florida's seen the opposite of that.
Yes.
An extreme amount of development.
Yeah. It is really impressive in Florida how much conservation that they've done and how much money has been publicly and privately funded to do that, mostly publicly funded by the state to preserve some lands.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that they've done that so that it's just, so you have that ranching industry and heritage there too, and get to see some of the land, how it really is naturally.
Sure.
Which is a really great part of the type of ranching that we do, I think, where I was talking to somebody the other day, and you talk about how the native range on the ranch looks, and that's where we primarily run stockers on our cultivated farm ground, and then we'll run cow-calf on the native range land, because the native range is rougher, rushier, pastures are big. It's hard to get stockers in and out of them.
Yeah.
They're difficult to gather, things like that. And the fence, you need better fences for stockers than you do need for cows. Cows are a little bit easier to keep in, whereas stockers like to go explore more.
Yeah.
So you look at the native range pastures around ours, and then you look at, there's a state park about 30 miles north of us. That state park looks a lot like native range land everywhere on all the ranches around us.
Mm-hmm. Which one is that?
Cedar Breaks.
Oh.
Copper Breaks.
Huh.
State park.
I hadn't been up there.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that close to you.
Yeah. Up there outside of Kroll.
Uh-huh.
That's where it is. So, which I think that's pretty neat. And I think a lot of the ranches in Florida is similar. That's your closest snapshot of what this landscape really looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Before we started building everything.
Sure. Yeah, and Florida losing a lot of that native grassland, or
right.
I don't even know what to call it.
Right.
I don't think grassland is the right word, is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Native
some of it's
palmetto.
swampland.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah.
Especially down where you were, I guess.
Yeah. It's flat. Some of it's flatwoods or palmetto heads, or there's some prairie down there too. But yeah. One of the interesting things I think in our area, there was an NCBA talk, or a talk at one of the NCBA committee meetings at the convention this year about encroachment of brushy shrubs onto native grasslands. And a big focus of that is like in the Midwest, like Nebraska and Kansas and stuff, where this stuff has naturally just been big, wide open grasslands, and now you're starting to get a little bit of woody brush into it, and it's hard to fix that. And I feel like we have some of the same where we are here, where mesquite, and to a lesser extent cedar, but mesquite's really encroached on a lot of.
Oh yeah, especially if you don't do anything. I mean,
exactly.
If you overgraze and don't do any brush control, I mean, mesquite can tear you apart.
Yeah. Well, you go look at some of these old farms that have gone into CRP and nobody's messed with them for 20 years. And now you, unless you know what you're looking at, you don't even know they used to be farm ground.
Right.
And those used to be open grassland, but now they're brushy. So I think that's another positive benefit of an actively managed ranch in our area of keeping some stuff in a managed grassland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'd agree with that. What did we see, Willie? We did a little research on some mesquites, and it was like they take up like 20 to 30 gallons a day.
Yeah,
per tree.
It's pretty phenomenal.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water.
In a place where water is important.
That's right.
On the low side, is probably on the low side. 20 to 30 gallons per tree, that'd be a lot of water.
Yeah. I've heard guys west of us talk about when they went through and did some pretty large swaths of brush control, getting rid of cedars and mesquites. And they talked about in some places they had some little springs and seeps come back to some of the creek beds where they had a little more live water in some of those at times than they ever did, which pretty easy to imagine those mesquite just soaking that water up before it even seeps out of the side of the ground.
Would those, for you, having both mesquites and cedars, because we don't really have cedars.
Right.
Does one of them give you more trouble than the other?
The mesquite they'll move into places a lot faster. And usually if you've got like that old farm ground I talked about that people will let go sometimes, that'll be mesquite encroachment. Mm. The cedars usually grow in shallower soils that aren't as good in general, because they're shallower, they're probably not as good a quality soils. So they're slower growing, I think. I don't know that for sure, but it seems like it. So maybe they're not quite as big of a deal, but on the fire threat, those cedars are terrible.
Oh, I've heard.
They are.
Don't they explode?
Yeah, it's like an explosion when the fire makes the one, and it can, when it hits them, and they do that, and sometimes it'll shoot stuff into the air, and it's pretty hard to have a fire line big enough to keep that contained if it's really raging through there.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't want that.
Yeah, that's kind of a scary thought. We drove through some pretty brushy country, and we were talking about that on the way up here yesterday.
Yeah, we were driving through the Sixes area there between, Kroll and Seymour and Wagner.
Oh,
what did I say?
Wagner, yeah.
Sixes. Did I say Sixes?
Mm-hmm.
Which they have some of that too over there between Knox City and Guthrie, but Cedar Breaks. But yeah, we were going through Wagner's, and just that really red, that red soil that is pretty thin. And they were doing a lot of work.
Yeah, there was a lot of work that was going on. It looked like they were starting to clear a lot of land out.
Yeah.
And we were talking about all that brush and, where's the grass? And
that's right.
How do you gather that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some pretty rough country, and just thinking about a cow breaking off and thinking, I got to go down there and get around her.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It makes sense to hear about, some of the guys in the area that use helicopters to gather cattle.
I can see why.
After seeing all that?
I can see why.
Yeah, no joke. Well, I want to move to one of my favorite segments of the podcast. This is the Bedrock Tough Question, brought to you by Bedrock Truck Beds. We love Bedrock Truck Beds. It's what we use at the ranch. They're the toughest flatbeds there are, and that's why we use them. We can count on them. They're tough. If you need a flatbed, go to bedrocktruckbeds.com. You can Google Bedrock Truck Beds.
You'll see. You can't miss it. Giant mammoth as their mascot, the only one.
Yep, only one. And we went there down in Shiner.
Mm-hmm.
We went down there, and while we were getting ours put on, we got to go see the brewery.
Yeah, the Shiner Brewery.
That was cool. Have you ever seen it before?
I haven't, but I've seen
fun.
on the bottle that every drop of Shiner is brewed in Shiner.
It is.
Yep,
with that artesian
water.
Well.
Drink local.
Yep, that's right. So whenever you go get your next flatbed, just check out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to go to
that.
Shiner.
Sounds like it must have been a good tour.
Yeah, and while you're going to wear your ag gear shirt while
you're
go.
doing it.
That's right.
And you get your Bedrock. Anyway, the Bedrock Tough Question. What is, for you, what is the toughest thing about ranching and y'all's ranching?
Sure. I think it's uncertainty. We face uncertainty on kind of every front, basically. On the farming side of the ranch, planting wheat every year or summer crops also, it it does not have to rain in our country. I mean, it can not rain.
Yeah.
It could go a year and not rain. So planting wheat and hoping that we can catch some rains and get the wheat up and have grazing is uncertain every year. But also, every time we buy cattle, there's uncertainty in the market. There's uncertainty if this is going to be a set that is worth less than what we paid for them by the time we're done with them.
Mm-hmm.
Never know, especially with the way prices are now. Historically high prices. It makes you think twice about going out and buying cattle.
Yeah, you're dang right. Because we know it. I mean, we know at some point, history tells us
That's right.
that it's going to go down.
That's right.
What is it, about a 10-year cycle?
Always used to be a 10-year cycle, so we're kind of...
And then 2016
looks like we're
hit or something.
kind of stretching this one. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
Stretch it a little bit.
I hope we keep stretching it.
So for guys who are uncertain, for y'all who may be a little uncertain on those cattle, are you doing any risk management on those?
Yeah, we're very active in risk management space, which I think anybody that's doing what we're doing really needs to be cognizant of that, because a lot of these cattle, like I said earlier, we're buying them. They could be anywhere from 300 pounds to 600-700 pounds when we're buying them, and we're not gonna be out of them until, like we talked about, they go on the grid. So we could own them a year.
Yep.
And not having any protection would just be, you would need to be very careful.
It'd be scary.
You'd have to be willing to potentially lose a lot of money if you're not going to have any protection, because in that last downturn, there were guys that did that. I mean, there were guys that bought cattle to turn out on their wheat pasture, turned them out, grazed them all winter, put a few hundred pounds of gain on them, picked them up, and they weren't worth what they paid for them in the fall. And now they just
sold them for less than what they bought them after,
and just used all their wheat.
Oh,
got no money out of it. So that's pretty hard to stomach.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very, very active in risk management. We're pretty much in the market every day. So trying to make sure we feel comfortable with our position, and we're pretty data driven about it, of managing based on our actual numbers and trying to manage to actual outdates. And so normally anytime we're buying, we're looking at what those numbers look like, what they project to be worth as a feeder when it's time to go in the feedlot stage, but more importantly, what they're worth as a fat coming out of the feedlot, so that we can make sure that when we're buying cattle that it looks like on paper we're going to be able to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So once we get that rolling, then we want to make sure we have at least some protection for that.
Sure. And you're doing that with hedges?
Yeah, we're doing it with direct hedges. Yeah.
Okay.
So directly trading on the exchange, but there's certainly these days a lot of other options. I mean, LRP has exploded in popularity, which is really a great tool, especially considering that you can tailor it to any size that you want. So
livestock risk protection, is that right?
Yeah. So if you want to protect 20 head, you can do that, which is great. It's great for people that aren't dealing with a lot of volume.
I think it'd be neat to touch that a little more. Have y'all used it before, or have y'all stayed with direct hedging?
We've used it just a handful of times to kind of experiment with it and see what we thought. For somebody like us that is set up to manage our hedging pretty aggressively and proactively, the LRP does not have the flexibility that direct hedging does. Just because once you take out an LRP policy, then that's it until the end date of the policy. So there's no going in or out of the market. It's just, it is what it is. You've bought the policy, and when it expires, either you get money back or you don't.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
Whereas if we feel like the market is undervalued or overvalued, we can go in and out at times to try to capture some of that excess value. So I think it's a great tool. I think probably we'll, in the future, probably use some more of it as a supplement to what we do on our normal hedging.
See, this is the smarts I'm saying these stalker guys have. Dang, dude. That market trading is so, like, you have to be in it all the time
That's right.
to understand it. Because I feel like I'm in it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I get around you stalker guys that start talking about what the board's doing, and not just this board, but the whatever the October board is doing,
Right.
or and I'm just like, we transferred embryos yesterday.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there?
The other thing we have to worry about is price of corn too. I mean, so
We hedge there any or puts or calls there?
we do, yeah.
Yeah. Dang,
Yeah. I mean,
dude.
right now, especially with
Studs.
price of these cattle and the amount of time we're going to own some of them, and the relative price of corn, which is really, compared to what it was the past few years, is really pretty cheap.
Right.
So and we're not going to have a choice. We're still going to have to buy the corn even if cattle prices come down. So, So we definitely feel like there needs to be some protection for us on that side as well, because if that corn does what it did a few years ago, and the cattle futures are already super elevated and probably, might not take another leg up, we would just be stuck with a higher cost of production and no way without protecting that price of corn.
Sure. We do a little bit of contracting on some feed stuff, on some distiller's grain, or dry distiller's grain, or some beet pulp, or even on some cotton burrs. But
Right.
yeah, we don't do much of the in the seed stock part. There's not much hedging.
Right.
I've never heard of anybody hedging seed
Yeah.
stock bulls.
Yeah. It's a tough hedge to make.
Yeah.
In terms of.
It's hard to put a value on them.
Right.
I had somebody call me the other day. They were like, I need to know that I'm working on this report, and I need to know the price of a yearling Hereford bull in 2023. And I was like, I wouldn't even know where to start if you asked me to know the value of a Hereford bull today.
Right.
I mean, I know the value of our lines of, red and black and Sim Angus bulls, but another breed just changes everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about them.
That's right.
I don't know about the Herefords.
Yeah.
But the stalkers, I feel like you have much more of an idea of what that's going to bring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or not bring.
And everything on the feeder stalker side, it trades based on the feeder cattle index.
Yep.
So at least you can track that, and you can see what all sales are going into that and what's driving it up or down or what have you.
Y'all use CattleFax?
Yeah, we use some of the data
Some of their
that
stuff.
CattleFax provides.
I find that so interesting. I mean,
They do really fascinating work, don't they?
really fascinating. Of just how the whole world is affecting cattle prices in the United States.
We have some good friends that work up there.
Yeah.
They have some really good folks.
Yeah, they do.
We have one, we didn't cover it earlier, but when we talked about internships, so now we do internships. We take interns. So one of our former interns is actually an analyst at CattleFax.
Who do I know?
Matt McQuaig. I don't know if you know.
I know Matt.
Yeah,
I know Matt.
Yeah.
I didn't know he interned with you, honestly. I didn't know that.
Long time ago.
Huh.
Hard to believe it, but
Y'all get a lot of Florida interns,
we do. We do. We have one right now even.
do you? Do I know him?
I don't know. Cy Griffin. You met him?
I don't know if I have.
Yeah. Have to come by.
Do you always get a Florida intern?
Not always, but we still have some pretty good relationships with our old professors and people in the state.
Yeah.
It's all word of mouth for us. So they'll send somebody our way or call about somebody they think that would be a good fit or what have you, which I think, we got so much out of our internships that it's pretty important to us to, help some of these kids see something different, get some experience.
Providing that opportunity.
Right.
That's neat because it's not easy. Hosting the internship
Right.
is not easy.
And then to try to give them a good experience and a rounded experience and take them to see some things and not work every single day. At least a couple days, maybe we could take them to see a feed yard or something like that.
Yeah, have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
In
Take 'em to a
Benjamin.
rodeo, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Any, for y'all are involved in TSCRA and Texas cattle feeders?
Yeah. So we've kind of, my brother and I have always kind of tried to make it where we're, ideally we're not gone at the same time. So we kind of end up alternating at things or that kind of thing. And so the way it's ended up working out is he's become a lot more involved in TSCRA. He was actually elected a director at the last meeting. So he's a director of TSCRA, which is really awesome for him. I'm really proud of him. So he's involved at Cattle Raisers, which I think is a great organization. And then I've gotten a lot more involved at Texas Cattle Feeders. I was fortunate enough to get elected to the board of Cattle Feeders last October. So
Nice.
Really enjoying.
I didn't know we had a director on the podcast. Golly.
Really enjoying to get the chance to be more involved in the organization and meet the other really impressive people that are involved. It's pretty humbling.
Yeah, which you and I got to spend a lot of time together at YCC.
That's right.
Which was one of the best trips I've ever taken.
For sure.
And you got to do it twice.
Yeah, I failed the first time and
failed. If I just had to know I failed it, I would have failed it to go again,
So I got to do the remedial course the second time, but it was really phenomenal. And Texas Cattle Feeders is the organization that had sent me on it, so I was super, super appreciative of them investing in us. I mean, because that's really what it is for these organizations like Cattle Raisers and Cattle Feeders to send us, and for NCBA to put them on. I agree with you. Phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal program that they do, and I saw a dear friend earlier today, Ashby Green. Do you know?
Yeah, I know Ashby.
And he told me that Rob was the chairman of his YCC class.
Really? I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
I'll be dang.
I think he said 1981.
Yeah,
so been some time.
It has. He told me today a saying that yesterday. I did the young producers panel yesterday here at BIF, and in that I got asked, or somehow it came up where I was talking about where most of my followers are from, and Florida is one of the states that I do have a large following in, or a percentage of my followers are from. And so he came up to me afterwards. He said, "Tucker, you know why Florida? You got a following in Florida?" I was like, "Well, I think part of it's because we've been involved in Florida Cattlemen's Association." He's like, "Yep, the world is run by those who show up, and y'all been showing up."
That's right.
And I like that. I mean, I think it's so true on anything.
Oh, it is.
I mean, not just my followers. It goes up to a whole lot of stuff. Texas Cattle Feeders is run by those who show up. NCBA is run by those who show up.
For sure.
Our country is run by those who show up.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought that was just really wise he's such a good one.
He is.
Ashby.
He is.
Doc. He goes by a lot of names, I guess.
No. Dr. Ashby. Dr. Green.
Uh-huh. Did you ever have him as a professor?
No, he wasn't. At least he wasn't teaching in animal science when I was there. So, but I worked for a local rancher there in Gainesville. Jake and I both did work for a local rancher, Dr. West, when we were in school. And he was really made a big impact on us as well.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Ashby were really close friends. So
I gotcha.
Got to know Dr. Green.
Yeah, he's a good one. Golly, he's a good one.
Yes.
You've been to both conventions, probably. What is one thing? Well, I'll go here. What is one thing that Texas beef industry convention, whatever it is, could take from Florida?
Oh, that's tough. They are really, to me, I don't know what you think, but they are really different beasts.
Yeah.
Those two conventions.
I agree.
I mean, Florida is like their convention. I feel like has turned into such a institution and cultural event almost. It is remarkably popular.
Yeah.
The people that are either not really in the cattle business or only on the periphery, and they show up to that convention.
Yeah.
And the sponsor list is phenomenally diverse of the people that want to be involved in that. And they do, they try to make it super family oriented and have a lot of fun options. And they do a great job down there. And then, so like TCFA's annual convention is a lot different because it is quick and to the point. And it is kind of get a lot of business done in a short amount of time and move on. And not, there's not a lot of time of things of, maybe not be too interested to one person or another, that it's bam, bam, bam through the programming, through recognitions and educational items and recognizing different awards and things like that. And then some time for fun and then, let everybody go home.
Then go home.
It is.
Yeah, they are different. I mean, same with TSCRA. I haven't been involved with Texas Cattle Feeders, but same with TSCRA. Like they try to have a dance and a dinner, and they do. But if you've ever been to Florida's,
it's like dance.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Beach, pool.
Yeah. Man, that's good. Now, any advice for people working with family? As we're wrapping it up here, having good advice for that.
Communication.
Yeah. Is it that easy?
Over communicate. Over communicating is better than under communicating.
For sure.
And open, honest, frank. Avoiding topics, not talking about things. I think that's really not a great way to do things. I mean, it might feel better in the short term, but in the long term, it's gonna be a problem. So I think you're better off just making sure you tell people what you think, how you feel, as opposed to just keeping it all inside and ending up with resentment or something like that. And I feel really fortunate. And I guess maybe it's one of the reasons that our family deal works is that my parents and even my grandparents have always been, if we come up with something, if either any of us came up with something that we thought we should do or wanted to try, I mean, they're generally pretty supportive. We might only try it once because it was actually a terrible idea, but sometimes it works. And my dad will say, some things you just got to learn by doing it. So sometimes you got to let somebody make a mistake and see that it's not going to work because you can't just tell them that it's not going to work. So I really appreciate that open-mindedness of trying new things. We always say that we try not to do anything just because that's how we've always done it or that's how we did it last time. We try to be critical of how should we do this? It's hard to take a fresh perspective of things when you're kind of in it every day. But when it gets time to do something or after we finish with something, think back of maybe we should do this differently next time, or is there a way that we can improve this, or even asking interns, any of the guys, visitors, be open to what they might come up with because it could be a great idea.
Yeah.
Just something we don't think of because we're in the weeds every day.
No, I think that's very fair. Yeah, kind of get caught up in, taking care of your part. I mean, for us, we get caught up in taking care of our part and sometimes miss the bigger picture. Or I always tell when our cooperators come in, I'm like, hey, if you see something, like we can get blind to some things.
Yeah.
Whenever it's like growing up, people who grow up in a town where a train comes through, like they don't hear the train. And so I feel like we can get the same way at the ranch of where, like, that fence has been busted and probably needed fixed, but we've seen it for a long time and we're kind of blind to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always ask our cooperators, like, hey, if you see something, like, tell us, because sometimes that Band-Aid we don't see that needs ripped off or whatever the case is. But I think that's very fair. We always talk about playing the long game of what's better for the long game, and try to forget about the short game and caring about that long game, and that communication part plays a big role.
And I think the other thing I try to do, and I should probably do it a lot better, but like gratitude is important. We all work together, but everybody has kind of different things that they're doing. I mean, sometimes we're all working on the same thing, but a lot of times we've got our own thing going, and making sure that everybody understands how much we appreciate what they're doing, what they're contributing, and that what they're doing is important. Even if it's not the same thing as what I'm doing today, what they're doing is still really important. And certainly thankful for everything all the family members do, but we also couldn't even think about doing what we do without our crew. And they're just really phenomenal, and we're really blessed to have the team that we do.
All right. What, for people who are trying to get into ranching, I typically find the feed yard being a great place for people to start, and where there's maybe the most help needed.
Sure.
With all the feed yards you go to or send cattle to or have seen, would you find that to be true?
Sure. If you just want to break into the industry, I mean, because you hardly go to a feed yard that couldn't use another hand doing something. And that's one of the things is, especially at larger yards, like there's entry level jobs that anybody that's willing to try and work hard can do. Now, it will not necessarily be easy, but there are employment opportunities, and there are opportunities to advance.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can talk to guys that have worked up from the bottom.
Yep.
And so that's a great opportunity to, if you're just trying to break in, and to see, you can get exposed to a lot of different things at one time, working in a yard like that.
Nutrition, cattle health, cattle handling.
Right. Equipment.
Yeah, a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
Buying feed, taking care of feed.
Commodities.
Bunch of it. I just always thought that every time somebody asked me, where can I, everybody wants to go be a camp man for the sixes. But I'm like, you're competing against guys who are studs. And if you're going to become one, here's a good place to start.
Right. Yeah, and especially if you're wanting to do something horseback, pin riders, maybe some people don't think that's that glorious of a job, but you can put a lot of miles on a horse.
You dang right you can. Checking all those every day.
That's right.
Every day. Well, we like to end the podcast with asking what your favorite verse is, favorite Bible verse.
Sure. So I have one that's really been special to my wife and I for a long time, several years, that I think about a lot, from Isaiah 46:4. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. That one's really just been the minister that she grew up with, the pastor that she grew up with that married us. I think he was the one that turned us on to that first, and it's just been special for us, for our whole marriage.
Whole family. How long have you been married?
Coming up on 14 years.
14. Dang. Well, that's Isaiah, what was it?
46:4.
Isaiah 46:4. That's a good one. That's a good one. Any questions for us? I mean, we're here for you, but...
Oh, man. Too many to ask, I think.
Willie's been quiet today.
Really has been quiet today.
I'm just the assistant.
What do you think's been the most interesting thing that you've seen this whole week?
This whole week?
Even before you might have gotten here?
His girlfriend.
Oh, okay. Good answer.
She is interesting. We did go to a speakeasy last night. That was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. We went to the
cool.
speakeasy.
Nothing to do with cattle, but I was pretty
I mean, our
impressed.
our conversations at
It
the
was
speakeasy
actually.
were about cattle.
What was actually
I
the
bet there was some beef advocacy going on.
there was.
There was.
We were talking about fair piece, wasn't it?
No, well, we did talk about that too, but it was a tag company.
Yes.
It was one of the some of those new technologies in the tag that use AI and you can tell how much cattle eat and how much they move. There's a lot of new technology coming out.
But the one thing I thought, and you made an interesting comparison about docility, when we were talking about the two groups of cattle, and how what was a super high risk group of cattle that they saw this insane gain on, which you made the point that
It was more of a question.
or a
than
question,
than a point.
I mean, we're all question marks, no explanation points here.
Yeah.
But then they did this experiment, and you can fill in whatever I'm messing up, but there was two sets, one super high risk, and the other set was pretty much about the high-end finish.
High quality.
Yeah.
Number ones.
And they saw a huge change in the high-risk ones and pretty much no response at all. And we were trying to think of, like, well, how could we explain that? You would think the high-end ones would just blow up from doing that. And Tucker made a point that maybe it's a possibility because of their docility, and response to that allowed them to actually focus more so on eating and getting bigger than running or fighting everything that they saw.
You use fair peas at all?
We do some, yeah.
Our question, there was this trial group where, these South Texas cows, they were kind of wild, all colored, had some hair, grew in like 14 days, grew 19 pounds of carcass weight.
Astronomically.
And had 19 more pounds of carcass weight than the number ones did. And so we were just asking questions of why would that be? And, my question was, is there a contemporary, what's the right word? Contemporary gain? Compensatory
Gain, yeah.
Is there a similarity to that, to where docility allowed them to catch up or like find that unfound gain?
Sure.
Because of when their docility calmed down, were they able to find that compensatory gain where those number one Angus cattle had already found it?
Right.
Yeah. It was a question.
Yeah. Maybe the number ones had kind of a low baseline cortisol level, but the flighty cattle were nervous all the time.
Had some more. Right. Right.
But I don't know. I thought that was a pretty fascinating concept in thinking about that. So that would be my answer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You enjoying BIF?
I am. I've never attended before, so it's been a learning experience.
It's as I call it, it's a lot of nerds. And that's why we're here. Hey, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It was a blast. It's fun. See another family man, another generational ranch in here, and thanks for giving all the tips.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to get to hang out with you guys, really.
Well, Willie, what would Dale say? On to the next one?
On to the next one.
We can't say that.
No, we got to
See you down the trail, down the road. See you later. Adios. Give the show a 5-star review.
Yeah.
If you have, it helps us out a lot. Give the show a 5-star review.
5 stars.
Or Willie's gonna come get you.
Happy trail. We could do that one. Happy trails.
Happy trails. Happy trails. Go to registeredranching.com. Get you some merch. Check us out on other social medias. But one thing you can't forget, folks, that's to stay classy
And ranch on them.
and ranch on. We'll catch you later. Love y'all.